So today's video is going to be breaking down the difference between a regressive and a progressive tax system, and more or less breaking down the situations where a regressive tax system can actually work. And there are a few, not many, but there are some with specific criteria in place that allows for it to be functional and successful. Now before we get into that, let's sort of break down what these two things actually mean. A progressive tax system is fairly straightforward. What it means is, as you start to earn more money in a society or in a country, you pay more in taxes. Pretty basic, pretty straightforward. So the person, say, making $50,000 a year is going to pay 10% of that in taxes. And the person making $1 million is going to pay 35%. As you make more money, you're also going to pay more taxes. Pretty straightforward. A regressive tax system is more or less the complete opposite. As you make more money, you're going to pay less in taxes. So under that same example, you might pay still the same 10% on your first 50,000, but the person making $1 million might only pay 5%. And this can actually manifest in a couple of different forms. It can be at that personal income tax level, but it also can show up in, say, having certain things exempt from taxes. So you might not tax certain types of investment income like dividends, capital gains, and interest, and it can manifest in a couple of different forms, but effectively what it is you're taxing less on the wealthy individuals in your society. And you may be thinking, how is it possible that a regressive tax system can work? How can it be functional and actually be beneficial for a society? And that's a very valid concern and sort of rationale, and that's because almost everywhere in the world, the progressive system is used for tax collection, and in almost every situation in the world, it is the most effective and most beneficial way to collect taxes. But there are a couple of instances where a regressive tax system can work, and that's sort of going to be what the focus is on this video. And let's sort of break it down into sort of three tiers of country. First world, second world, and third world countries. And when you look at, say, like a third world country, a place like Somalia that has effectively failed as a country, they are not in a good place right now. There's a lot of warfare, warlords. It's a very destabilized and terrifying region. If Somalia came in and said, hey, we're not going to tax the wealthy individuals, come move to our country, nobody's going to do that. That's not going to be beneficial. No one who has a lot of money is going to want to move to Somalia. It's a terrifying place right now. So for third world countries, regressive tax systems don't really work because a wealthy individual does not want to live in a third world country, typically. They don't want to live in a place that's terrifying, where there's constant threat, where you don't have the basic infrastructure that you see around the globe. Now, sort of the second example is a second world country, and that is where regressive tax systems can actually work, where they can be beneficial and where they can actually be useful for a society. So here's what happens. As you lower your taxes on rich individuals, wealthy people are more inclined to move to your country. And the idea and sort of the benefits touted for a regressive tax system is that when wealthy people move to your country, they're going to bring their money with them, and they're going to spend that money. When a wealthy individual moves into town, typically they're going to want to have a nice home, so they might hire construction workers to build it. Then they might also hire people to manage the home, the gardens. You might also see them opening up offices, employ more people, going to spend money at restaurants, and sort of inject money into the economy. While you're not necessarily making as much money as you would with a progressive tax system, you're getting benefits because wealthy people are attracted to your country. They're more likely to move there, and then you'll reap benefits from them spending their money in other ways, and that will benefit and grow your economy, and then you'll see tax revenue from the individuals working for them. And again, there's a very rare and small group where a regressive tax system works, and it is specifically in countries, second world countries that are fairly safe, fairly nice places to live with fairly nice climates, where wealthy people may not necessarily typically want to move there, but when you add the fact that you don't have to pay a lot of taxes, they're more inclined to go there, they're more inclined to bring their money, and it becomes beneficial for them and society as well. That is the realistically only situation in which a regressive tax system works, and the key with a regressive tax system, and the only way it works, is if there's only a couple of countries that do this. If all of the second world countries in the world started to use regressive systems, well then you lose that competitive advantage. So a regressive tax system only works when there's a couple of countries doing it, and it only works in countries that typically would not attract a lot of wealthy people, that might because they introduced this, and then they're fairly safe and realistically have most of the infrastructure that a first world country has. And the third example being first world countries. And for this example, we use the United States. A regressive tax system is an awful idea for first world countries, and specifically the United States. And one of the reasons this is a very relevant topic right now is Donald Trump wants to cut taxes on the wealthy, provide sort of tax breaks for them, effectively in a regressive type system. Why does this not work? Why does this not reap any benefits for the United States? Wealthy people already want to move there. Wealthy people already want to have their money in the United States. It's one of the most secure economies in the world. It's one of the most stable governments in the world. They have the best infrastructure in the world. When you look at the places in the United States like California, there's some of the best climates in the world. It's one of the safest places in the world. Wealthy people already want to move to the United States. They already want to bring their money to the United States. So introducing a regressive tax system does nothing for America. Why? Because they don't need to do anything else to attract wealthy people. They're already the prime destination for people who are wealthy, for millionaires and billionaires. So all a regressive tax system does is you lose tax revenue. That's it. There is no benefit whatsoever for the United States. And the same goes for more or less all first world countries in the United States, many places in Europe, and around the world. If you're already a prime destination for rich people, you don't need to tax them less because they're already going to want to move there. The only reason you introduce a regressive tax system, the only reason you ever see any benefits from it, is if you're a country that isn't typically considered a prime destination for rich individuals, that wants to sort of push yourself over the edge to be a candidate. So places like Panama, pre the hurricane of course, were a prime example, where a regressive tax system works because they had a nice climate, semi-stable government, and sort of all the basic amenities that you would typically see in a first world country, and then when you add a regressive tax system, they were able to attract rich individuals to their country. Only works in second world and sort of first world countries that aren't typically considered places for rich individuals. As always, if you like the video, very much appreciate a like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel grow, and as always, have a great day.